The dust storm on Talvesh Prime turned the sky orange. Jihoon pressed his hand against the transport window and watched the ancient ruins pass below. They looked like broken teeth jutting from the planet's surface, remnants of a civilization that had vanished 3,000 years ago. "We have 6 months," Yuna said from the seat beside him. She was reviewing data on her tablet, her dark eyes reflecting the screen's glow. 6 months before this planet tears itself apart. Jihoon nodded. The planet's core was unstable, growing hotter each day. Soon, Talvesh Prime would explode, taking all its secrets with it. Their job was to document everything they could before that happened. Museums across the galaxy wanted records of the Talvesh civilization. They had been brilliant, creating technology that even modern species struggled to understand. "Landing in 5 minutes, Minho called from the pilot seat. He guided their small ship toward the largest temple complex on the planet. It was a massive structure, bigger than most cities. Carved from black stone that seemed to absorb light, they landed on a flat area near the temple entrance. The ground shook slightly as they touched down. Small earthquakes were common now. The planet was dying, and everyone could feel it. Jihoon stepped out first, his boots crunching on the red sand. The air was thin but breathable. He adjusted his scanner and looked up at the temple. Symbols covered every surface, telling stories in a language that took scholars decades to translate. He had spent his whole career studying the Talvesh, trying to understand why such an advanced civilization had simply disappeared. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Yuna stood beside him, her camera already recording. "And sad," Jihoon replied. "All this knowledge, all this history, and no one left to remember it." They spent the morning exploring the outer chambers. Minho stayed with the ship, monitoring for seismic activity. The temple was like a maze, with corridors leading in every direction. Jihoon's scanner showed strange energy readings deeper inside, but they were faint, probably just residual power from ancient systems. Around midday, the ground started shaking harder. Dust fell from the ceiling. Yuna grabbed Jihoon's arm. "We should go back," she said. But Jihoon had seen something. A symbol on the wall, one he had never encountered before. It was glowing faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Without thinking, he reached out and touched it. The wall opened. A hidden passage revealed itself, sloping downward into darkness. Cool air rushed out, carrying a strange metallic smell. Jihoon's scanner went crazy, showing energy levels that shouldn't be possible in a dead civilization. "Jihoon, we need to report this," Yuna said, but her voice sounded distant. He was already walking down the passage. Something pulled him forward, like an invisible hand guiding his steps. The walls began to glow with soft blue light, illuminating his path. Behind him, he heard Yuna calling. Then another earthquake hit, stronger than before. The passage shook. Stone fell from the ceiling. Jihoon ran forward, deeper into the temple. As the entrance collapsed behind him, he was trapped, alone, in a place no human had ever seen. The passage opened into an enormous chamber. Jihoon stopped and stared, his breath catching in his throat. Hundreds of crystalline pods filled the space, arranged in perfect rows. Each pod contained a figure, tall and slender, with skin that looked like polished silver. The Talvesh. They were not extinct. They were sleeping. Lights began activating across the chamber. Screens flickered to life on the walls, showing data in the ancient Talvesh language. The pods started humming, a deep sound that Jihoon felt in his bones. One pod at the center of the chamber opened with a hiss of released air. The figure inside sat up slowly, like someone waking from a long sleep. It was taller than Jihoon, with large eyes that gleamed like mirrors. It looked at him, and Jihoon felt like he was being scanned, examined down to his atoms. "Human," the being said, and Jihoon's translator device crackled. Then the being spoke again, this time in perfect Korean. "We have been waiting for you." More pods opened. 5 figures emerged, moving stiffly after their long sleep. They gathered around Jihoon, studying him with expressions he could not read. "I am Vera," the first one said, "elder of the Talvesh. We are the last of our kind. 847 souls, preserved here while we waited." "Waited for what?" Jihoon managed to ask. His voice sounded small in the vast chamber. "For you," Vera said simply. "For humanity. For the right person to carry our legacy forward." Jihoon's mind raced. This made no sense. The Talvesh were an advanced species, far beyond humanity in every way. Why would they need humans for anything? "I don't understand," he said. Vera tilted her head. "Your species is young, primitive by our standards, but you have something we lost long ago. You have the fire of persistence, the drive to overcome, to survive against impossible odds. We scanned thousands of species across the galaxy, searching for this quality. Only humanity possessed it in sufficient measure." Another elder stepped forward. "We did not just scan species. We scanned individuals. Millions of them, across decades. And you, Jihoon, scored highest. Your psychological profile, your history, your resilience in the face of loss. You survived a colony collapse as a child. You rebuilt your life from nothing. You dedicated yourself to preserving the memories of dead civilizations. You are the perfect vessel." "Vessel for what?" Jihoon asked, though part of him already knew the answer. "Our complete legacy," Vera said. "Our knowledge, our technology, our culture, our memories. Everything we were, everything we learned. In 10,000 years of existence. It will all pass to you." Jihoon took a step back. "That's impossible. I'm just one person. I can't hold an entire civilization inside me." "You are human," Vera said, and for the first time, she smiled. "You will find a way. That is what humans do." The chamber shook again, harder this time. Cracks appeared in the walls. Vera looked up, unconcerned. "This planet has 2 days remaining, not 6 months. Our systems kept it stable, but our awakening has disrupted them. You must decide quickly, Jihoon. Accept our legacy and carry it to safety. Or refuse, and let 10,000 years of wisdom die with this world." "What happens to you?" Jihoon asked. "If I accept, we transfer everything to you," Vera said quietly. "And then, we rest. Our purpose will be complete. And of Hulon. Our purpose, and of Hulon." Jihoon looked at the hundreds of pods, at the sleeping Talvesh, who had waited so long for this moment. He thought about the knowledge that would be lost, the technology that could help countless species, the culture that deserved to be remembered. He thought about the weight of responsibility, the burden of carrying an entire civilization inside his mind. "How long do I have to decide?" he asked. Vera's silver eyes reflected his own face back at him. 48 hours. Then this planet, and everything on it, will cease to exist." The chamber lights dimmed slightly, as if the planet itself was holding its breath, waiting for his answer. Jihoon looked at the elders, at the pods, at the walls covered in the history of a dying race. He knew his decision would change everything, not just for him, but for humanity, for the galaxy, for the future itself. But first, he had to find a way out of this chamber and back to his team. And he had to do it before the planet collapsed around him. Jihoon found his way back through the collapsed passage using a path the Talvesh opened for him. The elders had shown him how to interface with their technology, using his thoughts alone. It felt strange, like learning to use a muscle he never knew he had. When he emerged from the temple, Yuna was waiting outside with Minho. She ran to him and grabbed his shoulders. "Where were you? We've been searching for 3 hours." Her eyes were red from crying. "I found something," Jihoon said carefully. "Survivors. The Talvesh aren't extinct. They're alive. And they need our help to evacuate." Minho's eyes widened. "Survivors? How many?" 847, Jihoon replied. "They've been in suspended animation. But we need to move quickly." The planet is more unstable than we thought. We have maybe 2 days. Yuna pulled out her communicator. I need to contact the Galactic Council. This is a first contact situation. There are protocols. Jihoon grabbed her hand, stopping her. No, not yet. They made me promise. The Council will quarantine them, study them for years. This planet will explode long before the bureaucracy clears. Jihoon, we can't just ignore regulations, Yuna said, but her voice was uncertain. Would you rather follow rules or save lives? Jihoon asked. She looked at him for a long moment, then lowered her communicator. What do they need? Time, Jihoon said. And trust. They spent the rest of the day preparing. Minho calculated if their ship could carry that many passengers. It was not designed for it. But the Talvesh assured Jihoon they could modify the vessel using their technology. They just needed Jihoon to accept the legacy first. That night, Jihoon could not sleep. He sat outside the ship, looking up at the stars. Yuna found him there. You're different, she said, sitting beside him. Since you came out of that temple. Your eyes look older somehow. Jihoon wanted to tell her everything. About the choice he faced, about what the Talvesh wanted to do to him, about the weight pressing down on his chest. But he had promised to keep it secret until he decided. I'm scared, he admitted instead. Of what? Of not being enough, he said quietly. Yuna leaned her head on his shoulder. You've always been enough, Jihoon. That's why they chose you for this mission. That's why I trust you. Her words stayed with him as he returned to the temple the next morning. The Talvesh elders were waiting in the chamber. All 847 pods were now open, and the Talvesh stood in silent rows, watching him approach. Veera stepped forward. Have you decided? Jihoon took a deep breath. I have questions first. What exactly happens during the transfer? And why can't you just give your technology to everyone? Why does it have to be one person? Our knowledge is not just information, Veera explained. It is alive, connected, complex. It requires a living mind to hold it together. And it must be one mind, unified and strong, or it will scatter and be lost. As for what happens, she paused. We will transfer our memories, our skills, our understanding directly into your neural pathways. It will be painful. The human brain was not designed for this. But you will survive. And you? Jihoon asked. Our consciousness will upload into you as well, another elder said. We will live on, in a sense, as voices in your mind. Guides and advisors. You will never be alone, Jihoon. You will carry us with you always. Jihoon felt a chill. So I'll have 800 voices in my head? Not voices exactly, Veera said. More like memories and instincts. Knowledge that feels like it has always been yours. Though some of us, the elders, will retain more awareness. We will be able to communicate with you when needed. There's something else, another elder said, his silver face solemn. The transfer will damage your brain over time. Human neural tissue cannot sustain this much information indefinitely. You will have perhaps 5 years before the degradation becomes critical. Jihoon stared at them. You're telling me this will kill me? We are telling you it will change you, Veera corrected. What you become in 5 years, we cannot predict. But you will not be purely human anymore. The transformation might save you. Or it might end you. We do not know. Jihoon wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at him to refuse, to save himself. But he looked at the Talvesh, at their faces filled with hope and desperation. And he thought about the knowledge that would die with them. Technology that could cure diseases, solve energy crises, maybe even prevent wars, wisdom accumulated over 10,000 years. Could he really let that disappear because he was afraid? I accept, he said, his voice barely a whisper. The chamber filled with light. The Talvesh began to move, forming a circle around Jihoon. Veera placed her long fingers on his temples. This will hurt, she warned. Do not resist the pain. Flow with it. The first transfer felt like lightning in his skull. Jihoon screamed. Memories that were not his own flooded his mind. He saw the Talvesh homeworld in its glory. Cities of crystal and light. He felt the joy of their golden age, the sorrow of their stagnation. He understood, suddenly and completely, their language, their mathematics, their philosophy. One by one, the Talvesh approached him. Each touch brought new pain and new knowledge. A scientist gave him understanding of quantum mechanics beyond human comprehension. An artist gave him the ability to perceive beauty in dimensions humans could not normally see. A warrior gave him combat skills perfected over centuries. Hours passed. Ji-hoon lost track of time. His body shook. Sweat poured down his face. Blood dripped from his nose. But he did not pull away. He endured. When the 847th Talvesh completed their transfer, Ji-hoon collapsed. The chamber spun around him. He could hear voices, feel presences in his mind. Not overwhelming, but there, like distant whispers. Veira helped him to his feet. She looked different now, less substantial, as if she were fading. "It is done," she said softly. "The legacy lives on in you. Take it somewhere safe. Protect it. Use it wisely." "What happens to you now?" Ji-hoon asked, his voice hoarse. "We rest," Veira said. "We are part of you now. When you need us, we will be there." Ji-hoon stumbled out of the temple. His head pounded with information. Languages, scientific concepts, cultural histories. He knew how to build fusion reactors, compose symphonies in musical systems humans had never imagined, navigate by quantum entanglement. The knowledge was terrifying and exhilarating. Yuna took one look at him and knew something was wrong. Or different, or both. "Ji-hoon." "Your eyes," she said. They had changed color slightly, showing flecks of silver. "I'm okay," he lied. "But we need to leave. Now. The planet will explode in 18 hours. They loaded onto the ship. Minho fired up the engines while Yuna helped Ji-hoon to a seat. He closed his eyes and felt the Talvesh technology respond to his thoughts. The ship's systems upgraded themselves, becoming more efficient, more powerful. As they lifted off from Talvesh Prime, Ji-hoon watched through the window as the planet began to break apart behind them. Massive cracks spread across the surface, glowing with internal heat. Inside his mind, he felt the Talvesh souls settling, finding their places in his consciousness. Veira's presence was strongest. "Thank you," her voice whispered in his thoughts. "You have saved us all." Ji-hoon did not answer. He was too busy trying to understand what he had become, and wondering what price he would ultimately pay for carrying an entire civilization inside his mind. 3 months had passed since they escaped Talvesh Prime. Ji-hoon sat in a medical station on the outer colonies, pretending to be a normal patient while doctors scanned his brain. The results confused them. His neural pathways had reorganized themselves into patterns they had never seen before. "Fascinating," the doctor said, studying the images. "Have you experienced any unusual symptoms? Headaches, memory loss, hallucinations?" Ji-hoon forced a smile. "Just the normal stress from work." If only the doctor knew the truth. Every night, Ji-hoon dreamed in languages that did not exist on Earth. He could calculate complex equations in his sleep. His body was changing too, becoming stronger, more efficient. The Talvesh knowledge was rewriting him from the inside out. His communicator buzzed. A message from Yuna. "They know." Ji-hoon's enhanced mind processed the implications in milliseconds. Someone had leaked information about the Talvesh survivors. The Galactic Council had been investigating. They had finally connected the dots back to him. He walked calmly out of the medical station, but his heart pounded. 2 security officers were waiting outside. They wore the uniforms of Council enforcement. "Ji-hoon Park?" one asked. "That's me," Ji-hoon replied. "You're ordered to appear before the Galactic Council immediately. There are questions about your activities on Talvesh Prime. Am I under arrest? Not yet. But refusal to comply will change that." Ji-hoon considered his options. In his mind, Veira's voice whispered, "Do not let them take you. They will dissect you to understand our technology. He could fight. The Talvesh had given him abilities that would shock these officers. But violence was not the answer. Not yet. I need to get my belongings from my hotel, Ji-hoon said. The officers exchanged glances. We'll escort you. At the hotel, Minho was waiting in a stolen transport ship in the alley behind the building. Ji-hoon's enhanced senses detected him even through walls. When they entered the building, Ji-hoon made his move. He touched the wall, interfacing with the building's systems using Talvesh technology. The lights went out. Emergency systems failed. In the darkness, Ji-hoon ran. The officers shouted behind him, but he was already gone, moving through the building with precision that came from 800 minds working together. He burst out the back exit and into Minho's ship. Go! 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 Ji-hoon yelled. The ship lifted off just as more security forces arrived. Blaster fire lit up the night sky. But Minho was an excellent pilot. They escaped into space. Yuna's at the rendezvous point, Minho said, his hands steady on the controls despite the danger. But Ji-hoon, this is serious. We just made ourselves fugitives from the Galactic Council. I know, Ji-hoon said, but they don't understand what's at stake. The Talvesh technology in the wrong hands could destroy civilizations. They met Yuna at an abandoned mining station 3 systems away. She hugged Ji-hoon when he arrived, then pulled back to look at him. You're changing more, she observed. Your skin has that silver sheen now. Ji-hoon touched his face. She was right. The transformation was accelerating. The Talvesh legacy is merging with my biology. I'm becoming something new. Is it killing you? Yuna asked directly. I don't know, Ji-hoon admitted. The elders said I have 5 years, but I think they were wrong. The change isn't destroying me. It's evolving me into something else. Over the next weeks, they stayed on the move, jumping from system to system. News of Ji-hoon's escape spread. The council declared him a security threat, claiming he possessed dangerous alien technology that could destabilize the galaxy. It was not entirely wrong. Ji-hoon could now manipulate matter at the molecular level. He could communicate through quantum channels across vast distances. His mind processed information faster than any computer. The Talvesh voices in his head were becoming clearer, more distinct. There are 3 repositories, Vera told him one night, hidden across the galaxy. Ancient vaults where we stored complete copies of our knowledge. You must activate them. Only then will the legacy be truly safe. Why didn't you mention this before? Ji-hoon asked aloud. Yuna and Minho had grown used to him, talking to voices they could not hear. We could not risk the information being extracted from you before the transfer was complete, Vera explained. But now you are strong enough. The repositories will only open for one who carries our essence. You must find them and unlock them. Ji-hoon shared this with Yuna and Minho. They studied the star charts that appeared in Ji-hoon's mind, downloaded from the Talvesh memories. The first one is in the Crucible, Minho said, frowning at the coordinates. That's the biggest criminal hub in the neutral zone. No laws, no rules, just whoever has the most guns. Perfect place to hide something valuable, Yuna observed. They were planning their approach when the ship's sensors screamed a warning. 3 vessels were approaching fast, weapons hot. Council ships? Minho asked. No, Ji-hoon said, his enhanced perception identifying them. These are Ascendancy, human supremacist faction. The lead ship opened a communication channel. A woman's face appeared on screen. She was Korean like Ji-hoon, with sharp features and cold eyes. Ji-hoon Park, she said. I am Hana, commander of the Ascendancy fleet. We've been searching for you. I don't know what you want, but we're not interested, Ji-hoon replied. Hana smiled. Don't you see? You have the key to elevating humanity above all other species. The Talvesh chose a human. That means we're superior, destined to lead the galaxy. Join us. Use that technology to put humanity where it belongs, at the top. Ji-hoon felt anger flash through him. The Talvesh didn't choose humanity because we're superior. They chose us because we understand struggle. because we know what it means to fail and keep trying anyway. That's not about dominance. It's about resilience. Semantics, Hana said dismissively. Power is power. You're wasting it by running away. Give us the Talvesh technology. Let us show the galaxy what humans can really do. Inside Jihoon's mind, some of the Talvesh voices agreed with her. He could feel their thoughts, their old beliefs that the strong should rule. But Veyra's voice cut through the others. She is wrong, Veyra said firmly. We chose you precisely because you would reject this thinking. Power without wisdom is just destruction. I won't help you, Jihoon told Hana. Her expression hardened. Then we'll take it from your corpse. Ascendancy fleet, open fire. Weapons blazed. Minho pushed the ship into evasive maneuvers, but they were outgunned. One shot got through, exploding against their shields. Alarms screamed as systems failed. Jihoon made a decision. He placed his hands on the ship's control panel and let the Talvesh knowledge flow. The ship's systems responded, upgrading themselves in real time. New shields formed, stronger than anything human technology could create. The engines multiplied their output. Jihoon, what are you doing? Minho gasped as the controls changed under his hands. Saving us. Jihoon replied. Power flowed through him. The combined knowledge of 800 minds focusing on one task. Their ship accelerated impossibly fast, leaving the ascendancy vessels behind. But Jihoon knew this was not over. Hana would keep hunting him. The council would keep chasing him. Everyone wanted what was in his head. As they jumped to hyperspace, Jihoon looked at his hands. They glowed faintly with silver light. The Talvesh transformation was accelerating. Soon, he would not be able to hide what he was becoming. The first repository is our priority, he told his friends. We need to secure the Talvesh legacy before someone like Hana gets to it. Yuna touched his shoulder. We're with you, whatever you're becoming, whoever you'll be in the end. We're not leaving you alone. Jihoon wanted to thank her, but words felt inadequate. Instead, he accessed the Talvesh memories of gratitude, of friendship, of loyalty. The feelings were universal, transcending species. As their ship hurtled toward the crucible, Jihoon prepared himself. The battle for the legacy had begun. And he was no longer just human defending alien knowledge. He was becoming the bridge between two civilizations, carrying the weight of both their futures. The voices in his head whispered strategies, warnings, encouragement. 800 souls united in one purpose, ensuring their legacy survived to help the galaxy, not harm it. The Crucible was a massive space station that had grown over centuries like a mechanical coral reef. Ships and structures attached themselves to the core until it became a city in space, lawless and dangerous. It was the perfect place to hide a Talvesh repository. Jihoon, Yuna, and Minho docked at one of the outer ports. They wore plain clothes, trying to blend in with the crowd of traders, criminals, and refugees who called this place home. The repository is 17 levels down, Jihoon said, his enhanced senses mapping the station's interior. Buried under decades of construction. No one knows it's there. Except us, Minho said nervously. And probably Hana. How long before the ascendancy shows up? Not long, Yuna replied, checking her scanner. I'm detecting unusual ship movements in the sector. Someone's coming. They moved quickly through the crowded corridors. The crucible smelled of oil, sweat, and recycled air. People of dozens of species pushed past each other. Bartering, arguing, living. This was what civilization looked like at its edges, raw and unpolished. Jihoon felt the repository calling to him, a pull in his mind that grew stronger with each level they descended. The Talvesh technology recognized him, responding to his presence. At level 15, they ran into trouble. A security checkpoint blocked their path, operated by one of the criminal syndicates that controlled this sector. Toll is 500 credits per person, the guard said, a massive creature with 4 arms and gray skin. We don't have that much, Minho said. The guard grinned, showing sharp teeth. Then turn around. Jihoon stepped forward. His eyes had turned almost completely silver now, glowing faintly in the dim light. "We're going through." The guard reached for his weapon, but Jihoon was faster. He did not touch the creature, just raised his hand. The guard's weapon flew from his grip and clattered to the floor. Then the guard himself lifted into the air, suspended by invisible force. "We don't want trouble," Jihoon said calmly. "We're just passing through." He released the guard and walked past. Yuna and Minho hurried after him. Behind them, the guard stared in shock, too frightened to follow. "You're getting stronger," Yuna observed. "The closer we get to the repository, the more the Talvesh knowledge activates," Jihoon explained. "It's like it's preparing me for what comes next." They reached level 17 through a maintenance shaft. The area was abandoned, covered in rust and decay. But Jihoon's enhanced vision saw through the corrosion to the structure beneath. Talvesh metal, incorruptible, and eternal. He placed his hand on what looked like a blank wall. Symbols appeared under his touch, glowing with blue light. The wall dissolved, revealing a chamber beyond. The repository was smaller than Jihoon expected, just a room with a single pedestal in the center. On the pedestal sat a crystal sphere, pulsing with internal light. "Is that it?" Minho asked. "That's the archive," Jihoon confirmed. "It contains a complete copy of Talvesh knowledge, locked in quantum storage. Once I activate it, anyone in the galaxy can access it. But only if they're worthy." "How does it determine worth?" Yuna asked. Before Jihoon could answer, an explosion rocked the chamber. The wall behind them blew inward, and soldiers poured through. Hana walked in after them, her weapon drawn. "I told you we'd meet again," she said, her eyes fixed on the crystal sphere. "That's what I need. The pure Talvesh technology, uncorrupted by your moral hesitation." "You can't use it," Jihoon said. "The repository will only open for someone who carries Talvesh essence. That's why they transferred their consciousness to me." Hana smiled coldly. "Then I'll cut it out of you." Her soldiers raised their weapons. Jihoon felt the Talvesh knowledge surge inside him, offering 100 ways to fight, to defend, to kill. But he also felt Vera's presence, calm and steady. "Show her," Vera whispered. "Show her the weight of what you carry." Jihoon understood. He raised his hands, not in attack but in offering. Silver light spread from his body, filling the chamber. Everyone inside, Hana, her soldiers, Yuna, Minho suddenly felt it. 800 lifetimes poured into their minds. Not the knowledge or the power, but the experiences, the joy of discovery, the pain of stagnation, the loneliness of being the last, the weight of 10,000 years of history, the burden of perfect memory that never faded, never dimmed. The responsibility of knowing that one mistake could doom civilizations. Hana screamed. Her soldiers collapsed, overwhelmed. Yuna and Minho gasped, but stayed standing, supported by their friendship with Jihoon. When the light faded, tears streamed down Hana's face. She stared at Jihoon with new understanding. "How do you bear it?" she whispered. "All those voices, all that pain." "Because someone has to," Jihoon replied gently. "The Talavesh didn't give me this burden to make me powerful. They gave it to me because they trusted me to protect it, to use it wisely. Power without purpose is just destruction. They learned that lesson over 10,000 years. Don't make me teach it to you the hard way." Hana lowered her weapon. Her hands shook. I thought having their technology would make humanity great, would prove we're not inferior." "We don't need to prove anything," Jihoon said. "The Talvesh chose humanity not because we're superior, but because we're adaptable. We fail and we learn. We suffer and we grow. That's our strength." He turned to the pedestal and placed both hands on the crystal sphere. It responded to his touch. Recognizing the Talavesh essence within him, the sphere began to change, expanding, its light growing brighter. "What's happening?" Minho asked. "The repository is activating," Jihoon explained. "It's creating a quantum lock." The knowledge will be available to anyone who can prove themselves worthy through trials of character, wisdom, and purpose. No one can steal it. No one can weaponize it. It has to be earned. The sphere split into multiple fragments, each containing a portion of the Talvesh legacy. The fragments spread throughout the chamber, embedding themselves in the walls, floor, ceiling. The entire room transformed into an interactive archive. A hologram appeared, showing Vera's face. Her recorded message began to play. To those who seek our knowledge, understand that wisdom cannot be given, only earned. You will face trials that test not your strength, but your character. Prove that you seek to uplift, not dominate. Prove that you value life, all life, not just your own species. Prove that you understand the responsibility that comes with power. Only then will our legacy be yours to share. Hana listened to the message, still shaken from the experience Jehun had shown her. When it ended, she looked at him with something like respect. I was wrong, she admitted. About everything. You're not hoarding power. You're protecting it. I'm doing what the Talvesh trusted me to do, Jehun said. Making sure their wisdom helps people, not hurts them. Hana nodded slowly. She ordered her soldiers to lower their weapons. The ascendancy was built on the wrong foundation. I see that now. We wanted to prove humanity's worth by dominating others, but you've shown me that real worth comes from how we choose to use our abilities. She turned to leave, then paused. There are 2 more repositories, aren't there? Yes, Jehun confirmed. I won't interfere, Hana promised. And I'll make sure the ascendancy doesn't either. You've earned that much. After she left, Yuna approached Jehun. That was risky, showing them everything like that. It was necessary, Jehun replied. Hana needed to understand. I can't fight everyone who wants the Talvesh technology. The only way to protect it is to make people understand why it must be protected. Minho examined the transformed chamber. This is incredible. It's like a living library. It is alive, in a way, Jehun said. The Talvesh knowledge has consciousness. It will teach those who prove themselves worthy, adapting to each student's needs. As they prepared to leave, Jehun felt something change inside him. The activation of the first repository had shifted the burden slightly. The weight was still there, but now it was shared. The knowledge had a home beyond his mind. 2 more to go, he said to his friends. 2 more repositories, and the Talvesh legacy will be secure. Yuna took his hand. We'll get there. Together. Jehun looked at his silver-skinned hand in hers. He was less human than he had been, but in some ways, more human than ever. He carried the wisdom of an ancient civilization, but he also carried the loyalty of friends, the determination to do right, and the very human refusal to give up. The Talvesh had chosen well. 2 years had passed since the first repository. Jehun stood on the observation deck of a council station, watching ships arrive and depart. He barely looked human anymore. His skin had turned completely silver. His eyes glowed with soft blue light, and his body moved with a grace that seemed to defy normal physics. But inside, he still felt like himself. Just more. The second repository is open, Yuna said, joining him at the window. She looked older now, tired from their long journey. Students are already arriving. Scientists, philosophers, engineers, all taking the trials. And failing, mostly, Minho added. He was monitoring the success rates on his tablet. Only about 1 in 50 passes the character tests. The Talvesh set high standards. They had to, Jehun replied. His voice had changed too, carrying harmonics that sometimes sounded like multiple people speaking at once. Knowledge this powerful requires wisdom to use properly. Better to deny it than give it to someone who will misuse it. The third and final repository had been the hardest to reach. It was hidden inside a dying star, protected by layers of radiation and gravity that would kill any normal being. But Jehun was no longer normal. He had walked into the star's corona alone while Yuna and Minho waited in orbit. The heat that should have vaporized him barely felt warm. The radiation that should have killed him just washed over his transformed body. Inside the star's core, he found the final repository, pristine and waiting. Activating it had completed the transformation. The last of his purely human cells had converted. Jihoon was now something new. A hybrid being that was both human and Talvesh. And somehow more than either. Do you regret it? Yuna asked him quietly. Becoming what you are now? Jihoon considered the question. He could no longer eat normal food, his body now sustained itself by absorbing energy directly. He could no longer sleep, his mind never stopped processing information. He could no longer age, the Talavesh cellular regeneration had made him effectively immortal. He had lost his humanity, in a sense. But he had gained something else. No, he said finally. The Talvesh gave me a gift. Not just their knowledge, but purpose. I understand now why they chose to end themselves. When you reach the peak, when there are no more challenges, existence becomes empty. They needed to pass their legacy to someone who still had the fire to grow, to struggle, to persist. And now, Minho asked, what happens now that all 3 repositories are active? Jihoon smiled. Now I wait, and I guide. A chime sounded on Minho's tablet. We have a visitor request. Someone wants to meet you. The visitor was a young alien, her blue skin marked with scientific clan symbols. She looked nervous as she approached Jihoon. I am Kira, she said in halting standard language. I come from Bellis 4. My world is dying. A plague is killing everyone. Our scientists cannot stop it. I heard that the Talvesh repositories contain advanced medical knowledge. I want to take the trials. I want to save my people. Jihoon looked into her mind, his enhanced abilities let him see people's true intentions now. He saw her desperation, her love for her world, her willingness to sacrifice anything to help her people. He also saw her fear, her doubt that she was worthy. The trials are difficult, he told her gently. Many fail. I must try, Kira said. What else can I do? Watch my world die? Jihoon saw himself in her. The boy who had survived a colony collapse, who rebuilt himself from nothing, who dedicated his life to preserving memories of the dead. The same persistence. The same refusal to give up. The first repository is accessible from here, Jihoon said. I will guide you there myself. He led Kira to a chamber where a quantum link connected to the repository in the crucible. The Talvesh hologram appeared. Veyra's kind face smiling at the young alien. Welcome, Seeker, Veyra's recording said. Your trials begin now. Jihoon watched as Kira faced the tests. She was shown scenarios, forced to make difficult choices. Would she sacrifice one life to save many? Would she share knowledge freely, or hoard it for her own people? Would she use power to control or to uplift? She struggled. She cried. But she persisted. After 3 hours, the repository glowed green. Kira had passed. Knowledge flowed into her mind, not everything, but what she needed. The cure for her world's plague, the understanding to implement it, the wisdom to use it properly. She gasped as the information settled into her consciousness. Thank you, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Thank you. Don't thank me, Jihoon said. You earned this. The Talvesh judge character. Not species or status. You proved yourself worthy. After Kira left to save her world, Yuna put her arm around Jihoon's shoulders. It was harder now, he was taller than he used to be. His body restructured by the Talvesh transformation. You're doing good work, she said. The Talvesh chose right. I couldn't do it without you two, Jihoon replied. You kept me grounded when I was changing. Reminded me of my humanity even as I was losing it physically. Minho laughed. We're just along for the ride. You're the one carrying 800 souls in your head. 800 souls who chose a human to carry on their legacy, Jihoon corrected. That choice means something. It means humanity, for all our flaws, has something worth preserving. The drive to keep trying, to keep fighting, to never give up even when everything seems impossible. Later that night, Jihoon stood alone in his quarters. The Talvesh voices were quiet now. Content. Their mission was complete. The 3 repositories were active and secure. Their knowledge would help civilizations for millennia to come. Veyra's presence emerged more clearly than usual. You have exceeded our hopes, Jihun. We knew you were special. We did not know you would be extraordinary. I'm just doing what needed to be done, Jihun said. That is what makes you extraordinary, Veyra replied. The greatest among us are those who do what is needed, not what brings glory. You will live a long time now, Jihun. Perhaps forever. What will you do with eternity? Jihun looked out at the stars. There were so many worlds out there, so many species struggling to survive, to advance, to find meaning. He thought about Kira, rushing home to save her people. He thought about all the others who would come to the repositories, seeking knowledge to solve their problems. I'll be here, he said, guiding them, teaching them, making sure the Talvesh legacy helps instead of harms. Someone needs to be the guardian, the keeper of wisdom. The Talvesh chose me for that role. And humanity? Veyra asked. What becomes of your species? They grow, Jihun said with confidence. We humans are stubborn. We fall down and get back up. We fail and learn from it. The Talvesh repositories will help us. But we'll still do it our way. We'll still struggle and persist. That's who we are. That is why we chose you, Veyra said softly. In 10,000 years of existence, we learned everything except how to remain vital, how to keep the fire burning. You humans still have that fire. Treasure it. It is precious beyond measure. Her presence faded back into the collective consciousness in Jihun's mind. He felt the other Talvesh souls settling into peaceful rest, satisfied that their purpose had been fulfilled. The next morning, Jihun received a message from the Galactic Council. After 2 years of negotiation, they had finally agreed to recognize the repositories as neutral territory, protected by ancient law. They could not control them, could not weaponize them, could not monopolize them. The knowledge belonged to everyone who proved worthy of it. A second message arrived from Hana. The Ascendancy had dissolved itself, its members choosing to pursue the Talvesh knowledge through the proper channels. Many of them were taking the repository trials, some were even passing. Change comes slowly, Hana wrote. But it comes. Thank you for showing us a better way. Jihun shared the news with Yuna and Minho over breakfast. They celebrated quietly, knowing that this was not an ending but a beginning. What now? Minho asked. The repositories are secure. Your mission is complete. Jihun thought about the question. His transformation was complete. He was no longer dying from the neural load. Instead, he had evolved into something stable, something that could exist indefinitely. He was no longer purely human, but he carried humanity's best qualities within him. Now we help people, he said simply. People like Kira will keep coming. Young species seeking knowledge. Desperate individuals looking for solutions. Someone needs to guide them through the trials, to help them understand what they're accessing. That's my role now. Guardian of the legacy. Teacher of wisdom. And we're staying with you, Yuna said firmly. We've come this far. We're not leaving now. And, Jihun felt gratitude well up inside him, a very human emotion that the Talvesh transformation had not diminished. If anything, carrying 800 lifetimes of memories had taught him to value friendship even more. The Talvesh legacy lives on, he said, looking at his friends. Not just in repositories and knowledge, but in what we choose to do with it. We can uplift civilizations, solve impossible problems, bring hope to the hopeless. That's what the Talvesh wanted. That's why they chose a human to carry their torch. As more ships arrived at the station, bringing seekers from across the galaxy, Jihun prepared to meet them. He was no longer just Jihun Park, human xenoarchaeologist. He was the legacy bearer, the bridge between ancient wisdom and future possibilities. The Talvesh had trusted humanity with their greatest treasure. Jihun would make sure that trust was honored, not through dominance or control, but through guidance, wisdom, and the very human quality of never giving up. The galaxy was changing, and at the center of that change stood a transformed human who carried 800 souls within him. Living proof that the greatest civilizations were not measured by their power, but by what they chose to leave behind. The legacy was fulfilled. The journey was just beginning.